What's going on, guys? Welcome to another video. So today I want to take a moment to talk about something that's quite relevant at this time. Now, as you know, we're all in quarantine due to COVID-19, and it's been about 2 months now since we're in lockdown. Now, depending on where you live, you may be in an area where things are actually getting better and the curve is finally flattened and you're able to do back to your normal routine. Now, in some areas, in some countries like Canada and United States, unfortunately, things are not progressing as well as they should be, and so it's likely that this quarantine is going to last for at least another couple months. And obviously, it's quite a challenge, mainly because you're not able to do things that you've been doing before this lockdown. And you're not able to go out, you're not able to be in crowded areas, and you can't be close to anybody because of the strict social distancing protocol. And unless you really have to go out, you're basically advised to stay at home in order to protect yourself from the virus. Now, I've been hearing things online about how introverts are dealing with this coronavirus pandemic and this quarantine. And I've been hearing ideas that for introverts, this quarantine is like a paradise for them because they get to stay at home. They don't have to be around people. And I've heard some introverts who sharing their experience, sharing their thoughts with the quarantine. And there are some introverts who actually enjoy this quarantine. Like for them, they actually enjoy it, and because they don't, they prefer not to be around people. They prefer to be by themselves. And so there may be some truth to that, right? In a way, this quarantine may be good for introverts. But I want to take a moment to share my thoughts, because I'm an introvert myself, but hopefully my perspective can give you some insight as to how introverts are really dealing with this quarantine, especially since it's been 2 months now, because I think there is some misconception when it comes to how introverts are dealing with the quarantine. And so I just want to take a moment to share my thoughts, and you may agree or disagree, and that's totally fine. This is just my opinion, and we'll go from there. So let's get right into it. Now, I mean, it's no question that this quarantine is tough mainly for extroverts, right? The reason being is that extroverts get their energy by being around people, right? By being around people and being social, and unfortunately at this time that's not really possible. Now they can compensate by being on social media, using FaceTime or Zoom or what have you to connect with one another, and that can definitely help. That can definitely help them to be social and to interact with one another. But I'm sure that any extrovert would agree that ideally they would prefer to be in a situation where they can be in close physical contact with one another. And unfortunately, right now, this time, that's not possible. Now, on the other hand, introverts get their energy by being alone and being in solitude, and so therefore they're better able to adapt to this quarantine lifestyle. And so, there are introverts who probably forced to be in social situations that they don't enjoy being in the first place, and now with this quarantine they don't have to worry about that anymore. So in a way, yes, maybe this quarantine is like a paradise for them. Having said that, it doesn't mean that introverts will always benefit from the quarantine. In fact, depending on how long this quarantine lasts, it can actually be a burden even for introverts. And the reason for that is because your human interaction is limited. You basically have no human interaction with anybody other than maybe your family members. Now, you may be thinking, like, what does this have to do with being an introvert? I thought introverts prefer to spend time by themselves, or being alone, being in solitude. And yes, that is true. But you have to understand is that one of the most important things that we gotta have in life is human connection. Okay, human connection. Like, it doesn't matter if you're an introvert or an extrovert, or quiet or outgoing. Like, we all gotta have human connection. Now, of course, introverts get their human connection quite differently from extroverts, but at the end of the day, we all need some social and human connection. Like, it allows us feel good, and it gives us a sense of belonging, right? And because of this ongoing quarantine, that's not possible, and we're not able to get that much human connection that we crave. Right now, of course, we can use social media. We can because of this advanced technology and the internet, like we're able to connect with one another online, regardless of where we located. Like we can connect with anybody around the world, but ideally, like in my opinion, I think the best form of human connection is at physically being close to each other, one on one. I think like if you're physically close to one another, that's when you develop a genuine and close human connection. Unfortunately, with social media, it's not the same. It's not really the same, and that's I mean that's just my opinion. That's how I feel. And so this is kind of one of the challenges that can be the case even for introverts. Imagine having some batteries that you have to recharge, and you have a charger, right? Now, what happens when you leave your charger on for a long period of time? Well, your batteries are going to eventually break down and they won't function that well. Why is that? Well, because you're not using your batteries. You're not allowing your batteries to discharge some of that energy before you're recharging them in again. And that's basically what's happening with introverts right now. We're basically like batteries that are broken down because we're not discharging some of that energy, right? Because of the strict quarantine, like we're not, we don't have the choice to go out and meet people or or socialize, right? And I can tell you, like for me personally, as an introvert, even though I enjoy spending time by myself, I do like to go out and hang out with my friends, people whom I can relate to and develop deep, meaningful conversations with. I still enjoy going out and meeting new people, and in fact, one of my goals for this year was to actually be more social and to meet more like-minded people. And the reason for that is because I know, like for most of my life, like I basically spend most of my time just being on my own, and not socializing much and not being around people. And this year I was really looking forward to be more social. And unfortunately right now, like everything is shut down. You can't really go out and get close to anybody because of the strict social distancing. Don't get me wrong, I'm not forcing this negativity on anybody. I think like whatever situation you're in, like there's always something good to gain out of it. And I definitely believe that this quarantine is something good to gain out of it. Like for example, like now that you have more time on your hands, you can focus on investing in yourself. You can focus on building your business or learning or doing whatever it is that you probably didn't have time to do back then. And so I mean, don't get me wrong, there's always something good to gain out of this, but we also have to accept the fact that this quarantine can be a challenge for many of us, even for introverts. And you also have to understand that this quarantine and this lockdown can affect us not only socially but also mentally and financially. I mean, if you're someone who got laid off, then I mean, it's a challenge, right? It can be tough. Like it doesn't matter if you're an introvert or an extrovert. It can be tough on anybody. And because of this high employment rate, and the also the mental health is also going to be an issue. This is something that we're probably going to have to deal with for at least the next several weeks. Sorry, the next several months rather, even after this pandemic is over. And so, you can see how this pandemic and this quarantine can be tough for both introverts and extroverts. And if you're someone who is affected by this, just understand that we're all in this together. We're all in this together, and the best we can do is just use our time to do things that we enjoy. Spend time with friends, while at the same time respecting the social distancing measures and the quarantine. And just pray that this would be over, and that we'll all be able to come out stronger from this. And just again, just remember that you're not alone in this. We're all in this together. And I do have faith that we'll come out stronger than ever before. And so Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much my message for today. If you have any thoughts or comments, leave them in the comment section below. If you're an introvert, I love to hear your thoughts. What do you think about this quarantine? You know, maybe you enjoy this quarantine. Maybe you don't care about hanging out with people, and that's totally fine. I love to hear your thoughts on that. And if you want to learn more about how you can become a confident leader as an introvert, then I really encourage you to subscribe to my channel. I don't usually do videos like this, but I usually share tips that will help you become a more confident leader. And so if you're interested, then please subscribe to my channel so you can stay in touch with the latest videos. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye bye.